part of the legislation. They've done it outside of the majority of people. And there's some of the reasons, just some of the myths and the facts of the death penalty. Wrongful convictions, which in my mind is like, I mean, one person dies and you find out he's innocent. That's enough of a reason to stop. I mean, if the system is clearly broken, you need to fix it, stop. What happened? And it's happened on countless, in every, I have not done a study of every country that executes, but there is evidence in many countries that there's proven wrongful convictions that led to execution. In the United States, since the time they reinstated, they stopped and had a moratorium in the 1970s, the same time that Canada abolished. And they reinstated about 15 years later, and since then there's been 138 proven wrongful executions in the United States. It's like innocent people. The conviction was overturned. It was an absolute mistake. Wrong person, sorry. You know? And it was due to the introduction of DNA technology. So I mean, DNA came back, and people, you know, NGOs, lawyers, concerned people have come back, and they're looking for, you know, to try to uncover the facts about what really happened. And this is what they've uncovered in the United States, and surely the numbers are higher. And this is where there's a system that targets the poor. I don't know if it's common knowledge. It's very familiar to me that if you're in a trial situation, you don't have money to defend yourself, then you get a less than adequate defense. And even where the outcome is possibly the death sentence, the justice systems in most countries do not provide you with the legal aid that you need to defend yourself. So I'm sure the number is much higher. And prior to DNA, any kind of physical means of gathering evidence. In a lot of cases, because murder cases, the evidence that convicts is not necessarily physical. There's been many cases where there was no weapon found, there's no DNA evidence, there's no physical evidence to support that this person is guilty, but it's witness testimony. And the nature of criminal acts is that the people, other than the perpetrator of the act, is the victim, but usually there's 2 or 3 people involved, there's other people, and they can as well. And this is, I mean, you see this in the movies, like any prison show, where 2 or 3 people get arrested, and one of them doesn't want to go to jail, so they say, hey, he did it, and to save himself. And this is very common practice, I think, in most justice systems, where the police are very quickly want to resolve the issue. The courts very quickly want to resolve the issue. Everybody do. We don't want to drag this out. I mean, the truth is, a belabored process, and what we need to do is bring resolution to this. And so they accept, the witness testimony of people that have ulterior motives. There's a case right now in the United States. He was convicted about 17 years ago of killing a policeman, and there was 5 other people with him. They were all, they were outside, I guess they were drinking and doing whatever, and this off-duty policeman came along and saw them beating up a homeless person. And he was convicted of shooting the officer. 17 years later, he's still going through appeal, but the conviction was based on witness testimony alone. No gun found, no physical evidence, nothing but the word of his fellow criminal. Well, maybe not criminal, but he was hanging out with them. And to this day, I mean, there's been, it's one of the biggest cases right now, appeal cases in the States right now, because it's gone beyond the normal appeal process because of the backing that actually is gotten from many prominent people saying there's something wrong with this case, you need to really examine it. And from this, they've had Supreme Court judges have had to make new rulings on the death penalty, on the legitimacy of the death penalty. And one of the Supreme Court judges ruled that it's not unconstitutional to execute innocent men. That's a Supreme Court ruling. And this is the kind of like shit that goes on in the legal system. It's like the truth is not about human consequences. It's about resolving the legal issues. And often, innocent people get, they fall through the cracks all the time.
You got about 7 minutes. 10 minutes?
Wow.
Intermediate is 10 minutes.
I'm going to try to get a little bit later. One of the things, in a case where the death penalty is, when you think about the obligation of the justice system to protect, and that's, just in my mind, the purpose of justice is to resolve conflict, to protect society and individuals that are dangerous to society. But also it should be, if the option is for death in a case, it should also be there to protect that an accused individual does not get wrongly convicted and executed. There should be equal provisions for, the thinking that there's presumed innocence is, there's no accounting for that. I have some other, but I'll skip to the next one. For me personally, I'm personally opposed to the death penalty for more reasons. The system itself, the system of justice, I think, does not account for, everything that we should be accounting for, especially when it comes to the death penalty. It's not equipped to deal with that kind of justice. And I don't think people are either. And people are not equipped to make life and death decisions like that. And well, when I think about if I want to, convince other people that they should start thinking about it too, and why, I think one of the biggest reasons is the system of the death penalty is broken. It's clearly broken. There's ample evidence to support that from the court systems, from the arresting officers, the sentencing process, inadequate legal defense. There's just so much evidence that points to mistakes are being made, and very, life-threatening mistakes. And I just think simply that when something's not working, the logic is you stop and you look at it and say, how can we make it work? Because the system is supposed to work for us. And in this case it's not working, and it's broken, then you find alternatives, right, to the system. It's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. And think about the alternative to, how do you say to a person like they lost their mother or father, lost, their daughter or son, someone they love, that, we shouldn't execute this person, we should have compassion, we should have understanding, we should, how do you say that to someone, who's lost someone that they love? But I think the system of justice is not in place to avenge. It doesn't. There should be, as part of maybe the system of justice, there should be something in place to help people, the victims' families, deal with what has happened and help them get through it. But when government is swayed by such extreme emotion, by individuals just reacting to losing someone they love, and this is a situation that's so charged with emotion that logic is just straight out the window, and there's just no way to be clear about what's going on. And so, but as far as alternatives to the death penalty, a lot of people say life in prison without parole, but I also think life without parole is a no-hope situation. It doesn't offer anything different than the death penalty does, really. It's maybe even more torturous for the running of the death penalty. So I think when we think about justice and what its purpose is, whatever the resolution, it should not provide more conflict. It should bring resolution to the problem. It should help resolve the problem. And clearly, killing does not resolve. It just widens the circle of violence. I mean, you think about a cold-blooded killer, and there's nothing more cold-blooded than this state killing.